I start this video, I want to say that the internet has been really shaky, which is a problem in Ghana. I was using the MTN network when I tried to do this live video a few minutes ago, and phone MTN 4G network, but the connection was worse than Vodafone. So this particular video, I want to answer a question that was in the comments of one of my, which was the comment was, what is African American culture? And that question came under one of the videos that I have called African American Association Launches Black History Month event in Accra. There was a lot of comments after that video. And I noticed myself, I was saying I noticed that there's a disconnect between the African American community in the US and the Black community, which is in Africa. So I know that there are people who don't understand the concept of African American culture, Black American culture, as some people will refer to it. My personal experiences of living in the US for a short time, as well as I grew up 15 minutes from the United States border, so I had a lot of friends who were Americans. A lot of African American culture in Canada, because that's where I lived for most of my life. And then being a Ghanaian, an African who lived in Canada, I have quite a mixture of experiences and a little bit of an understanding of African American culture. So first of all, I think a lot of Africans who don't understand the concept of African American culture have to first think about the fact that Black people who were displaced through the transatlantic slave trade had to sort of create their own culture, because they were forced into a situation where some of their culture that was carried with them from African countries they tried to practice were beaten out of them. So the colonizers, the whites who took them and enslaved them, wanted to make sure that they didn't carry their culture into this new world that they were in. So a lot of things about language, about tradition, practices, culture were removed by force. And so people in the diaspora, people in South America, people in other parts of the world who were enslaved Africans had to create something of their own. And a lot of that came through food, it came through music, it came through dance, which still had a little bit of connectivity to Africa. Because when you think about, like when in the historically Black colleges in the US, they have their step groups, and a lot of the stepping that they do, you see some of those dance moves are rooted in Africa, in African culture. So you see that there's a little bit of a connection there. Through music, there's a lot of soul and a lot of passion that is in a lot of music that comes from the Black community in the United States, especially. You feel they made during the times of enslavement came from hope, came from resilience. And so a lot of the things that have remained become the culture that they have. So for those who are in Africa, you have your own culture that has remained because you were not displaced, you were not removed and taken somewhere else and forced to stop your practices, forced to stop speaking your language, forced to stop listening to your music or playing your drums, whatever it may be. So Africans in Africa have a different experience than Africans who ended up in the Americas, North and South America. So that's my my answer to that question. This internet is just crazy. I did a video about the internet in Ghana. Anyway, an African American person and you wanted to add what I'm saying, please do write it in the comments below. Anything I may have missed, because I know I'm not an expert. I'm only speaking from my experiences being around African American people, having lived in the US for a short period of time, as well as being an African who was born in Ghana but lived in Canada, lived a bit in the US, that I have a little bit of understanding of all dynamics as to how there can be a disconnect between the two. So I think it's really important that as African people, we explore and learn about African American culture. Also, for African Americans, I think it's important to explore and learn about different countries in Africa and their different cultures, because the continent doesn't have one culture. Every country has their own different cultures. There are some similarities as you go from place to place, but there's also a lot of differences between each country. And then South America, we cannot forget South America, that a lot of enslaved Africans, actually, I believe the most enslaved Africans actually ended up in Brazil. So, and they're not spoken about as much as the African American community in the United States. But Brazil has a huge population of African people. So, so that's what I wanted to say today, because that was one of the questions under the comments that I wanted to address, because I know there's a lot of confusion that happens between the groups of people. And I think it's important that we learn from each other, because the only way that we can stay connected and grow as a race is to be willing to learn from each other and to not put each other down. Because I did notice some negative comments, negative things being said about people, and I think it's important that we don't do that to each other. We already have the Eurocentric Europeans, we already have white people who are putting us down as black people. So why should we do that to each other? We have to try to be united, because the way I see it, the slave trade really did its job, and colonization really did its job in disconnecting us. And as a result, we have these bickering arguments that happen between each other that are not necessary. I can understand us joking about certain things, because like how Nigeria and Ghana are constantly at each other's throats because of jollof rice, which wasn't invented by Ghanaians or Nigerians, by the way. It's actually from Senegal. The Senegalese really need to start speaking up when these arguments come up. So I'm doing a live video. Has just dropped my live. I don't know where I got disconnected. A phone call came through while I was doing this live video, because I'm doing this live video on my phone. So I'm hoping that I don't even remember where I left off when I got disconnected. But I was talking about us reconnecting as a people, and that the white race has done enough to separate us, and we should learn from each other, come together, unite, learn from each other, because the only way we can become powerful and grow is to learn from each other, have conversations, rather than putting each other down. Okay, so I'm gonna end this live video now, because the internet keeps cutting in and out, and then I had that WhatsApp call that I think will probably come in again, because she might try to call again. So let me end the call, this video here, and just say, please share your comments, your questions, any input you have on this topic that I have been discussing. I would love to hear from you. Talk to you soon. Bye. Now I'm trying to end this live video, and I am having challenges. How do I end this live video?